What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you the Shaman class in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, which is currently in beta. The Shaman is someone who speaks with the spirits of the world, natural spirits that exist in everything, really, and they use those connections to draw their power and further their own goals or that of their spirits. So, couple things about the Shaman right off the bat. One, they're a divine caster. However, they have this weird mix of wisdom and charisma for their casting stat. Their actual casting, which is similar to a cleric's in that they get a full spell list, the Shaman spell list, that they have to prepare their spells from. That part of it works off of their wisdom stat. They actually also get domain slots from the spirit they choose, which we'll get into in just a minute. But they get domain slots. To the best of my knowledge, that part also seems to function off of wisdom. However, they get a lot of class features from their spirits that actually work off of their charisma modifier. Now, the big one is the class features. So when you pick a spirit, which again we'll get into, it usually gives you an ability or several abilities at select levels that then almost always function off of your charisma modifier if they need to function off of something. Their actual spells is pretty much wisdom. However, their class features usually work off of their charisma stat. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into it. So for class skills, we are looking at Persuasion, Lore Nature, Lore Religion, Knowledge World, Knowledge Arcana for our base class. And then for proficiencies, we are looking at all simple weapons, light armor, and medium armor. Now, for our base class, we are going to bond with a spirit. So these spirits function very similarly to cleric domains, though a little differently. So there is way less of them than the cleric's 30 plus domains. There are 9, I believe, spirits to choose a bond from. Now, they're going to give you hexes and bonus spells as well as features at 1st, 8th, and 16th level. The hexes we get to pick at various levels depending on our archetype. But every few levels, your shaman will get to pick a hex, and this will add hexes to the list depending on what your spirit is. Now, the bonus spells are our domain slot spells for our spellcasting ability. All of the spells that we get as bonus spells from our spirit are the spells that we get to put in our domain slot for our spellcasting. And then each individual spirit will have a class feature at levels 1, 8, and 16. Most of the first level abilities are all like touch strikes, so pretty much all of them are melee touch attacks that will be element based or whatever type it is you have. The 8th level ability is usually some stronger variant of that first level ability. And then at 16th level, this is all pretty much some transformation of some sort. For things like waves and flame, it's an elemental that you turn into. And then other ones will have slightly different effects. For instance, nature actually gives you a companion animal at level 16. But there are exceptions to that, such as the life spirit at level 16 actually gives you something called quick healing, which gives them the ability to cast healing spells or channel positive energy as a swift action. But most of them let you turn into something elemental-wise that is related to your spirit. Now that brings us to our spirit animal. Now basically the way this works is very similar to a witch's familiar because it gives you a familiar. That's what the spirit animal is. So you'll get to choose a familiar, and the familiar is what is granting you your domain slots from your spirit. Now while it's not possible to get this killed or anything, it is important for an archetype here in just a bit. But suffice to say, you'll get to choose a familiar. There's quite a few of them. All of them give a +2 bonus to perception checks. However, in addition to that, all of them will usually have a +1, 2, or 3 bonus to a various skill or savings throw or something to that effect. And then at level 2, we start picking up our hexes for our base class shaman. So these are the same as the witch's hexes. I should have them up on screen here. Works basically the same way. They do actually use your wisdom modifier, unlike a lot of the spirit class features I mentioned earlier. Hexes do a wide variety of things. They can negate stuff. They can give you claw attacks. You can pick meta magic with them. One of them, Ice Plant, is particularly useful because it gives you a +2 natural armor bonus, which is very nice. So just various stuff like that. Hexes can do a lot of stuff for you. At level 4, we can pick up Wandering Spirit. This lets you form a temporary bond with your spirit other than the one you selected as your class feature. Now, the tooltip here will tell you have to make this selection each day when you prepare your spells. That's not true. Not for the game, anyway. So basically what will happen is once per day, you will be able to use the Wandering Spirit spell, which you are granted when you hit level 4, and it'll have a flyout menu that you can then pick your spirit from, regardless of the time of day or anything like that. And then it'll give you all of the following effects, which is that it will grant you the spells from that particular spirit's list of spells that I mentioned. However, you don't add the hexes. And instead of getting the 8th and 16th level abilities that you would normally get, you won't get those until level 12 and level 20 for your Wandering Spirit choice. And keep in mind, it's temporary. You can change this literally per day. Now at 6th level, we pick up Wandering Hex. This is the hex part of it. Now, this is pretty much the same as, Wandering Spirit, but for hexes. Once a day, you'll be able to gain the use of one of the hexes associated with the spirits you've chosen, either your regular one, of course, or your Wandering Spirit. So it'll just give you more hexes to use per day. Now, the regular spirit part of it, that's important too, even though it might not sound like it, because that'll let you use the hexes that are part of your spirit's class feature or whatever, regardless of whether or not you actually chose it as one of your hexes. You can potentially gain that hex this way. And then at 14th level, you can choose 2 hexes per day instead of just the 1. Now that brings us to our first archetype, the Possessed Shaman. At level 2, your Possessed Shaman will trade the hex they would normally get at that level for the class feature Crowded Vessel. So at 2nd level, whenever a Possessed Shaman fails a saving throw against Charm or Compulsion, they can attempt a new one, as the spirits inside of the Possessed Shaman fight to regain control from the Compulsion effect. So if this saving throw is successful, it just ends immediately. Compulsion effect, that is. And then at 1st level, they actually pick up Shared Skill. This will let you select 2 skills at level 1, and you will gain ranks in them equal to your Shaman level, and use your Wisdom modifier in place of the ability modifier that those skills would normally use. However, the ranks from this class feature will not stack with your other actual skill ranks, and then, only the higher of the 2 would apply. And that brings us to the Spirit Hunter. Spirit Hunters lose their Wandering Spirit and Wandering Hex ability. However, they pick up some cool stuff to replace it with. For starters, they get Object Bond, which lets them restore spell slots once per day. And they also pick up Spirit Weapon Enhancement. So at 1st level, they, as a swift action, can grant a +1 enhancement bonus for 1 minute to any weapon they are holding. Every 4 levels beyond 1st, it adds another +1 until you hit +5 at 17th level. And then just like other weapon enhancements, the actual weapon enhancement can go to +5. However, you can start adding special ability types to your weapon as you level up, which will consume some of the extra bonus that you might have over whatever the weapon's base enhancement bonus is. So if you had a +2 enhanced bonus sword, which would just be a +2 sword really, and you used your spirit weapon enhancement at level 17 where you got a +5, you could potentially add +3, which would give you the +5, and then use the other 2 to add a weapon special ability, thus not wasting your points. Now that brings us to the Spirit Warden. So the Spirit Warden picks up Restless Magic at level 1, which adds several spells to their magic list, as you can see here. They also pick up Unnatural Mien, at level 1 as well, which will give them a +2 bonus to Intimidate checks. And then at level 2, they trade their Hex for Rebuke Spirits. At 2nd level, they will be able to channel positive energy as a cleric of their level. Regardless of the alignment, you can only use it to harm undead creatures. You can use it a number of times per day, equal to 3 plus your Charisma modifier. And then at 10th level, you again trade a Hex for Laugh at Death, which will give you +4 insight bonus on saving throws against death effects. And that brings us to our Unsworn Shaman. So our Unsworn Shaman trades set bonuses for versatility. Now, our class sheet here is blank, obviously, for the most part, and it's actually not very useful because I assume this might be a mistake, but it doesn't tell you some of the stuff you actually get here. But to explain it, at 2nd level, we're going to pick up Wandering Spirit instead of getting it at 4th level. So it functions the same way. You can form a bond with the spirit, and then it'll let you use its class features. You won't get the spells, and that's important, because we're not forming a permanent bond with these spirits as an unsworn shaman. And because we don't have a permanent bond, we don't get our spirit animal. And our spirit animal, if you remember, is the conduit that actually gives us access to the spirit's bonus spells, our domain slots. So the unsworn shaman doesn't get their domain slots like the other shamans would. The trade-off there is all of this versatility. Because you might be thinking to yourself, well, Wandering Spirit and Wandering Hex were different. Do I not get Wandering Hex? And that is another part of this that isn't on this class sheet. At level 1, you get access to an ability called Minor Spirit, in which you can form a temporary bond with a minor spirit, which will actually give you your selection of whatever hex you want to pick. Now at 6th level, you gain a second Wandering Spirit as an unsworn shaman, getting the class features from that as well. So the main trade-off for an unsworn shaman is, again, just the set bonuses and your domain slots in lieu of all of this versatility that just being able to pick this stuff randomly whenever you want, like per day or whatever, gives you. And that brings us to our final archetype, the Witch Doctor. Now, again, trading mostly hexes for various different abilities. So at level 4, we're going to pick up Channel Energy, which is going to let us use Channel Positive Energy, but at a -3 tier level. So normally, it's a cleric class feature, but when you pick it up as a Witch Doctor, you get like a level 1 cleric version of Channel Positive Energy. You can use it a number of times equal to 3 plus your charisma modifier. However, this is a separate pool of channel energy that will not stack with the life spirit's channel energy. Just something to keep in mind. The level 1 ability you get with the life spirit is actually channel energy, but it does not stack with this because it is a separate pool at a different level. Now, at level 8, Witch Doctors pick up Counter Curse. They can choose to lose any prepared magic spell 3rd level or higher to spontaneously cast Dispel Magic or remove Curse. They can only target a spell effect that is on an ally, including yourself, and any magic level you sacrifice higher than 3rd level will give you a +2 sacred bonus on the caster level check to dispel the effect. And that is for every spell level you sacrifice. So if you were to sacrifice a 5th level spell, you would gain a +4 sacred bonus. And then that is going to do it for the Shaman class, guys. So there you go. Honestly, I think this is a really cool class mechanically. Like, it mixes and matches a lot of other things from classes with a lot of unique flavor. And honestly, just a lot of versatility in using those classes. So again, I honestly just think this is really cool. But to be fair, that is coming from a guy who was at one point the 19th ranked shaman on World of Warcraft's Shadow Song server. That was years ago. And this is now. But I do like shamans. So with that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate it. I couldn't do this without you guys. The channel is growing every day. So honestly, if you watch anything I do, just thank you. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.